Okay, so this is something that I've wanted to talk about for a while, and this is regarding future Sonic games and their gameplay, specifically with regards to Adventure Sonic and Shadow the Hedgehog. Now, before someone goes, but Adventure Sonic is modern Sonic, I am 100% aware that officially there's no Adventure Sonic, there's just classic, modern and boom. They've made that very clear. So this is not a debate as to what the official stance is, we know what the official stance is. But just remember, Classic Sonic wasn't even a thing until 2011 when Generations was announced. Before then we just called him Sonic. But just because there was no such thing as Classic Sonic doesn't mean the concept of Classic Sonic didn't exist. And the concept refers to Sonic that played like he did back in the day, back in the 2D era, before Sonic Adventure 1. People wanted that Sonic back, but Sega didn't want to get rid of the new Sonic that they had created. So instead of picking between the two Sonic gameplays, which is the Boost gameplay and the 2D Classic Sonic gameplay, they created Generations, in which they created two separate Sonics to represent those two gameplay formats. So they took a concept that existed, which was a classic Sonic, and then they created a character based off of it. So when people say they want Adventure Sonic, and you say, but Adventure Sonic is modern Sonic, that doesn't really make sense, because when we say we want Adventure Sonic, we're saying we want Sega to actually acknowledge said character and create a character for it, because they haven't done it. So it's like if I said I wanted Metal Rouge as an example, and then you go, but there is no Metal Rouge. Exactly, that's why I'm saying I want them to create it, because there isn't any. So as someone who's an adventure fan, I'm sure you missed that adventure gameplay and want to see it brought back in new Sonic games, right? Now we know that they've taken care of Classic Sonic. He's in Generations, he's in Project 2017, he is Sonic Mania. They've taken care of Modern Sonic because he's in Project 2017. They've taken care of Boom Sonic because he's in the Boom games. So where's Adventure Sonic's love? Remember, the only reason they created Classic Sonic was to bring back the classic gameplay without sacrificing the current gameplay. So wouldn't it make sense to bring back the adventure gameplay that we all know and love without getting rid of the modern Sonic gameplay that is also pretty good as well? Sounds like a good idea, right? But at the same time, the idea of having several Sonics can be a bit overwhelming at times, to be honest, because sometimes you just wonder, like, they've got all these characters, why don't they just use these characters? And then that's when it hit me. We don't really need an Adventure Sonic. What we need is Shadow to take that place. Now think about it. When you think of Dreamcast or Adventure Sonic, what do you think of? You think of SA1, SA2, maybe a bit of Heroes. Now, SA2 Sonic's gameplay was a bit similar to the Boost games, especially Unleashed. It felt very linear and streamlined. But if you look at SA1 Sonic, there was a more open feel to it. You know, you use the spin dash to get to certain areas. And that's something that I really appreciate in SA1, and that's why it's one of my favorite Sonic games. So my proposal is that they give that gameplay to Shadow. I mean, they've always had issues. They've always tried to make Shadow work in the Sonic games. They started him off in SA2 by basically cloning Sonic's gameplay without all of the moves. Then in Shadow the Hedgehog, they basically made him like he was in Heroes, but made him slippery, gave him guns and gave him vehicles. Then in 06, they basically made him like Sonic, but slower, with a few different moves and with vehicles. It's like they're trying so hard to make Shadow play differently to Sonic, but then in the end, he never really feels as good as playing as Sonic. Except in Sonic Heroes, where he's actually a 100% direct clone of Sonic. But now that Sonic's gameplay has changed to the modern Boost gameplay, this would be the perfect way to retain that adventure style gameplay without creating another Sonic to fulfill those shoes like they did with Classic Sonic. So you could have Shadow play like Sonic did in Sonic Adventure 1, with the spin dash, with the more open gameplay. So if we took Project 2017 as an example, you have Classic Sonic playing like he did in the classics. You have modern Sonic playing like the Boost games, and then you have Shadow controlling and feeling like SA1 Sonic with the spin dash, essentially satisfying the three major groups of Sonic fans: classic, adventure and modern. Wouldn't that be the perfect solution? It satisfies most Sonic fans. Shadow finally gets to be a character that controls and feels different to Sonic without feeling not as fun to play as Sonic, and we know it would be a fun gameplay style because the adventure games are highly praised. And it would also be great because it offsets some of the issues that people had with the modern gameplay, which was it being too linear, with it being too much about boosting to win and minimal platforming and stuff. because then this would offset it by having the more open gameplay, more focus on platforming and exploration, and maybe a bit more focus on combat. Now, I'm not 100% sure on how many characters are going to be playable in Project 2017, but they made it seem like it was just going to be classic modern and then this new component, which I made a video on. So I don't know if that's it or there's going to be anyone else playable, but this is just an idea that I'm throwing out there. Let me know what you guys think. But yeah, man, Dreamy out.